I have some interesting updates for you on the proposed Van Halen tribute tour. First of all, Michael Anthony says he has talked to Alex and Dave and he is in. Second of all, in terms of timelines, if this happens, it seems like it would start in late 2023. And finally, the Van Halen family is PO'd at Jason Newsted.
Love vinyl? Tell the world with a Channel 33 RPM t-shirt. Check out the Channel 33 RPM store today.
All right, I didn't think I would have another Van Halen update for you so quickly, but there's been a bunch of stuff going on over the past week or two, some big news. First of all, in a new interview with the Mitch LaFon and Jeremy White Show, which is a podcast, Michael Anthony said he's interested in being part of a proposed Van Halen celebration tour, and he confirmed, as I said, that he's been in touch with Alex and Dave about the idea. He also said that the only thing that's strange to him, it's kind of strange to everyone I think, is why it was ex-Metallica bassist Jason Newsted who let the news slip of this proposed tour. So here's the quote from Mike. He says, "When Jason came out and said that Alex had talked to him last year or something like that, which is kind of interesting because I actually had been talking on a conference call with Van Halen manager Irving Azoff, Alex, and Dave last year, so I don't know what the whole Jason thing was about." So if you don't know the whole background, Jason gave an interview in early April in which he revealed Alex and Joe Satriani had invited him to jam as part of this whole Van Halen tribute thing, and they were working out the details, as I said, of a possible tribute tour. So that was huge news when Newsted let that news drop. Mike Anthony this week suggested his conversations with Azoff, Roth, and Alex were more of a preliminary nature. Here's his quote. Mike says, "Alex is still mourning or whatever you want to say, but I did have some talks with Dave and Alex last year. I'm not really sure what the Jason Newsted thing came out of because we've been discussing this for well over a year." But what's curious to me, I thought they had been talking to Newsted because Michael Anthony wasn't going to be part of this. But now we're hearing they had already been talking to Michael. So it makes me question, why? Why was Jason part of this? The only thing I can think of or conclude perhaps is that this is sort of more of a variety show, more of a tribute show where it's not just the former Van Halen members and Joe Satriani. It's like a whole host of people who were inspired by Van Halen sort of playing in this show. Getting a bunch of different musicians on board is probably the best way to go at this point. So Michael Anthony went on to say, "I hope something happens in the future here. I think Joe was mentioning in some of the interviews that it's more of a celebration, right? More of a celebration of the band and the music rather than calling it Van Halen." So like we just said, right, that makes more sense. Michael Anthony says, "Obviously Eddie being the most integral part of the whole band, you can't really call it Van Halen after that." After that, I'm assuming meaning after Eddie has passed away. Eddie's no longer with us. So it gets more interesting. In another interview this week, Joe Satriani confirmed that Sammy has also been contacted. So Sammy Hagar is also part of this. And Joe also threw some shade, again, at Jason Newsted. So this all comes from a website called VW Music. The interview is done by Andrew Daly. I've talked to Andrew before. He's a good guy, and actually he interviewed me once too for VW Music. So obviously he's come a long way. He's gone from Frank at Channel 33 RPM to Joe Satriani. So really good to see Andrew doing well. Anyway, so in this new interview, Joe Satriani says, "We were not supposed to talk about it because it may never happen." Again, speaking about the tribute tour. And obviously, Sammy and Mike were contacted. So there you go, confirmation that Sammy is part of it. And then Joe goes on to say, "But I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes there." Not surprising, because Van Halen is always very secretive, very quiet. That is nothing new. So, again, from Joe, he goes on to say, "I do know that Jason was called at one point, and he was told, like I was, not to talk about it because it may never happen. And so we were all shocked when he went public because he certainly wasn't supposed to. And it's only caused grief in the family, which is not nice, This is the whole thing. It's just so puzzling. It's so puzzling to me why Jason would say anything publicly. I mean, obviously he let his guard down. I am going to get to that. But one more thing here. Satriani also hinted at timelines. Check this out. He said, I do know that for the next year and a half, I'm probably on tour starting in September, just doing the Elephants of Mars shape-shifting combo tour. So whatever comes of this, it's sometime in the future. I mean, we've talked about this before too. Sammy and Mike are busy for the next little while touring with the Circle. Satriani is busy doing his solo stuff. So if he's talking about being busy for the next year and a half, Joe's schedule is kind of freeing up then towards the end of 2023. So given this, I might be reading too much into this, I don't know, but given all this, it sounds like if this Van Halen tribute is going to happen, it's going to happen at the end of 2023. Okay, I want to talk about Jason here a bit as well. This is the other odd thing. So Jason, I love this guy. I thought he was great in Metallica. He seems like a really cool guy. He seems like the kind of guy I'd like to have a beer with. But the stuff he's been saying makes no sense. He's actually blaming the media outlet that reported on this whole potential tribute tour rather than blaming himself, which is kind of funny. Check this out. Here is what Jason said. That was bad, dude. I am not happy about that. I am really, really not happy about that. And he's referring to the original media outlet who reported on this. So the whole story behind this is Jason was doing a tour. Jason did an interview to promote a benefit concert he was doing. And during the course of that interview, he told the interviewer, he let it slip that he had been contacted to do this Van Halen tribute tour. And he had been in talks with Dave and Alex. So he drops that bombshell, and then Jason is surprised that the media outlet goes with that and reports it. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I read the original story, and the newspaper or whatever it was didn't lead with the big news. They actually kind of buried it. It was kind of like thrown in and passing in the middle of the story. Which, okay, in terms of I'll give you a little bit of my background. I was a reporter for the longest time, a political reporter. I left that job about a decade ago or more. Nowadays, I do corporate communications, and part of my job is to give media training to people. I train executives, I train all sorts of people on how to do media interviews. And the one thing I always tell people is never say anything to a reporter that you don't want printed, right? Jason lets this slip, and then he's surprised when it was reported. That doesn't make any sense at all from a media relations perspective, right? Like Jason cannot blame the reporter for running with it. If anything, I think the reporter and the media outlet actually downplayed the news. So that doesn't make any sense to me at all. And Jason, I know you're not watching this, but if any chance you are watching this, I'll be happy to provide you free media training because we can work through all this stuff, man. I'm here to help you. I think you're a good guy. So that's kind of the news we've been hearing, that this is not a Van Halen reunion. It is truly a Van Halen tribute, which is cool. We're hearing that Sammy might be on board. We're hearing Mike is totally for it. And we're hearing potential timelines, maybe of late 2023. And I'm also hearing that everyone is mad at Jason, which totally makes sense. Again, I dig this news. I do hope it happens. And I would love to check out an Eddie Van Halen tribute show. How about you? Let me know in the comments below.